Hello fantasy managers and welcome back for another video. My name's Jack and today we're going to discuss the how to play basics for World Cup Fantasy of Qatar 2022. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you guys enjoy the video, and to stay up to date with any future videos and ones we've just posted, click the notification bell. Also, look out for FPL Social, which is a live in-person FPL event coming up in Melbourne in February of next year. We're going to be there, so for tickets and information, click the link in the description. And also, check out the Instagram and Twitter as well for any other fantasy-related content, which will be coming thick and fast, especially over the World Cup period. And with that being said, let's jump into the video. So in today's video, we're going to discuss a couple of different rules and scoring and sort of how transfers and captaincy works in World Cup Fantasy. There are quite a lot of changes when compared to regular FPL, which I'm sure a lot of you guys already played. There's also a couple of differences to Champions League Fantasy as well. So if you guys play Champions League Fantasy, definitely could be worthwhile noting a couple of changes down. First of all though, we do have our FPLflare World Cup League code on the screen now for PF9E5S3. We will be posting weekly World Cup fantasy videos as well as general World Cup football content, so look out for that as well. And now let's discuss some scoring rules. So first of all, let's just discuss some general point scoring. There is a couple of changes with this World Cup fantasy scoring compared to other fantasy games. The first one here is the appearance of playing at 60 minutes or more. You get +1 point. That's similar to all other FPL games. You get an assist worth 3 points regardless of position. Similar to FPL, yellow cards are -1, red card -2, as is an own goal. There is a couple of different scoring possibilities here with winning a penalty. You get +2 for actually winning the pen, but conceding a penalty is a -1. Looking at the goalkeeper scoring, there is a couple of interesting points here that I wanted to discuss. A goalkeeper has to play 70 minutes or more to receive a clean sheet, and a clean sheet for a goalkeeper is worth 5 points. Each additional goal conceded after the first one is a -1. And a keeper does get massive points for a goal. They get 9 points for a goal, 3 for a pen save, and one extra point, for every 3 saves. Defenders, they only have to play 60 minutes for a clean sheet. They also get 5 points. And similar to the goalkeepers, they don't get a -point for the first goal conceded, but every additional goal is -1, and they get 7 points for a goal, which is quite high scoring. Midfielders, they get a clean sheet point after 60 minutes. It's 5 points for a goal, same as FPL. A couple of interesting ones here is every 3 tackles a midfielder gets a point, so that sort of brings in CDMs into the game a bit more, and you also get an extra point for every 2 key passes. So looking out for midfielders, they get involved in the game and play lots of passes, get lots of interceptions. They could prove to be good players. And the forwards, they also score the same points for a goal as midfielders with 5, and they actually score a point for every 2 shots on target as well. So you definitely want high volume shooters when you're looking for forward options. So now let's discuss what is called boosters in World Cup Fantasy. This is sort of the chips or the tokens if you're playing UCL Fantasy. Essentially, there are 3 different types of boosters that you can use throughout the tournament. The first one here is a wild card, which allows you to make unlimited transfers within a specific round. Obviously can't be used for the first round of the group stage or the round of 16, as you do get unlimited transfers already before these match days begin. There's a 12th man booster, which allows you to select 1 additional player to score points for your team in a match day. The 12th man cannot be a substitute, a captain, or transfer though. But you can select any player to be a 12th man with a budget or team restrictions do not count here. There's also a power captain, which allows you to get double points from whichever player scores the most points in your team in a match day, which can definitely be very useful, so you don't miss out on any points with captaincy. Also, just something to note, you will not be able to reverse a booster once it has been confirmed, and a booster will remain active up until the end of the current match day. So now let's discuss transfers and captaincy. First, let's just have a look at how many transfers you are allowed before each stage of the tournament. Obviously, before the tournament, you are given unlimited transfers. At the start of match days 2 and 3, though, you are given 2 free transfers, which is 1 more than what you're normally given on FPL. You're normally given 1 free transfer every week. And then before the round of 16, you do get unlimited transfers. Obviously, as we touched on before, teams are going to get knocked out of the tournament, so you're going to need extra transfers to accommodate for these players departing the tournament. Then before the start of the quarterfinals, you get 4 free transfers. Before the semis, 5 free transfers. And before the finals, 6 free transfers. So you definitely are given plenty of transfer opportunities to get on as many players that are still remaining in the tournament. And actually looking at those, or how many transfers you're allowed every stage, it is definitely a good idea to use your wildcard chip at either match day 2 or 3, where you get given the least amount of free transfers as you get the maximum value from the wildcard chip. Moving on to captaincy, it kind of ties in a similar way with transfers, in the way that you can make transfers mid-game week. You can actually change captaincy mid-game week as well. Just going over some captaincy basics though. Obviously, for each match day, you must select a captain who will score double points for your team. And as I said, you can change your captain at mid-game week. So for example, we take Leroy Sané again. He scores 2 points on captaincy, doubled up to 4. You're not happy with that, and you've got a player that still hasn't played yet this match day. You can choose to captain another player only if they haven't played on a match day. So you may go for another player, and then your captaincy points that you receive from Sane, so you got the extra 2 points on the captaincy, those 2 points get taken away, and then the score of the player that you change the captaincy to, that score will then get doubled. So there is a bit of a risk if you do choose to switch the captain, that the player that you choose, the new captain that you choose to play, may not score as many points as the original captain, but it definitely can be a good way to maximize points in the team if your captain did originally blank and score quite a low score. Now let's discuss match days and sort of the fixture schedule for World Cup Fantasy. It is broken down across various match days based on the different stages in the tournament. The first round of matches in the group stage does make up match day 1, so essentially once every team has played their first game, that consists of match day. That runs from the 20th to the 24th of November. A similar thing happens for the second and third matches in the group stage. Once every team plays the second match, that'll consist of the second match day. And the same thing for the third match day. Also, coming into the knockout stage in the round of 16, you will get unlimited transfers before the knockout stage, as obviously there's going to be players in your team that may have been knocked out throughout the tournament, so you're going to need those extra transfers to accommodate for the reduced amount of teams coming into the round of 16. And then the next stage is the quarterfinals, of course. You get additional transfers for that, which we'll discuss later. The next stage is the semi-finals, and of course the final stage is the final of the tournament, which essentially you can only pick players from the 2 teams in the final. So if you have played Champions League Fantasy before, you'll probably be familiar with how this substitutions system works. It's not like this in FPL, but essentially you can make substitutions mid-match day. You can only substitute a player on that hasn't played already in the match day. So for example, you have a player such as, take Leroy Sané for example. He only scores 2 points and he plays earlier than a player that you have on the bench. You can sub on the player that you have on the bench for Leroy Sané. You lose Sane's 2 points, but you have the potential of getting your bench player to score more points than Sane if he gets subbed on. Obviously, once you've subbed out Sane, you can't sub him back in. He's gone for the match day, and the player you sub on, you receive their points instead. There's a similar sort of system with captaincy as well, which we'll explain a bit later in the video. Also, just a quick note with automatic substitutions, they will only happen at the end of a match day, allowing you to make manual substitutions up until the start of the final match of that current match day. So hopefully that makes sense. If you have played Champions League Fantasy before, it will definitely make a lot more sense. But essentially, if you've got a player on your bench that hasn't played yet and one of your starting players has already played, you can sub on your bench player, in the hope that the bench player subbed on outscores the player that you've already had play on your field. Thanks for watching today's How to Play Basics for World Cup Fantasy for Qatar 2022. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel. And also click the notification bell to stay up to date with all the recent uploads. As always, look out for FPL Social. Tickets and information to that are in the description down below. And check out our Instagram and Twitter as well for more fantasy related content. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.